I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game's atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by the lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell are you? Welcome in to the Buccateers, another edition of the great Buccateers pod. We got a lot to discuss, and we got some late breaking news. Special teams coordinator Keith Armstrong has retired. Hallelujah! It's about damn time. Keith has underachieved greatly here each and every year. He's been a part of this coaching staff. J-Lo, welcome into the show. It's going to be a busy one. It's a lot to get to in a little time, so let's not waste no time. Keith Armstrong retires. What are your thoughts, sir?
Yo, what's up, Tones? Yeah, them comes a shock, man. After seeing, Harold Goodwin leaving and the other Joe Gilbert leaving, I think we're doing a whole turnover of the coaching staff. And remember, this was Bruce Arians' staff, so let's see what Todd Bowles does replacing these guys. And it's been a long time coming for Keith Armstrong. He's probably been the most hated assistant on the whole entire team. So best of luck with them. Best of luck with him. Thank you for helping us win a Super Bowl, and enjoy retirement.
Yeah, he should enjoy retirement, getting into his 60s. He did help us win a Super Bowl, but I can't remember the last time we had, special teams that was smart, that was productive. I mean, our kicker are different, but our return game, J-Lo, they've been bad for quite some time now. We can't figure out the return game, and it seems like our punt coverage isn't that great either.
No, it's not. We don't really have any real gunners. I mean, we haven't had a real kick or punt returner since, I don't know, Sammy Strotter, maybe Clepton Smith. That's how far back I can think of last time we had a real kick or punt returner. And unfortunately, it's time for a change. It's time to bring in either a young or a veteran type special teams coach.
Yeah, and where do you see the Bucs go in special teams wise? We're obviously changing a lot. We'll talk about our other coaching losses and departures here in a brief second. But J-Lo, where do you see the Bucs going on special teams? Do you see an in-house candidate? Do you see us going out of house? I mean, Todd Bowles has pretty much the same connects as Arians has. I know he has a couple more as he was a former player, but where do you see the Bucs going special teams wise, if you had to guess?
They'll probably go outside like they're doing offensive coordinator, I have feeling. I just feel like Bowles is trying to start fresh and bring in some fresh coaches. So I say they go outside the organization for a special teams coordinator.
Yeah, and it seems like we're going to lose some defensive guys surely here as well, as J.C. Allen and Greg Allman have both had tweets kind of hinting at that. J.C. Allen just came out with one saying a lot of these defensive guys are out of contract. And, I haven't really batted an eye at either offensive assistants we lost or Keith Armstrong. But if we lose some key cogs on defense, J-Lo, that's where it could start getting a little dicey.
Yes, unfortunately, it's looking not good right now, especially with the Senior Bowl going on, and we got all these coaching contracts expiring. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens to some of those key guys on the defensive coaching side. I would hate to see Larry Foote and Rodgers go, but I don't see them leaving. They're pretty much committed to Todd Bowles, I feel like. I feel they'll be able to come up with a contract, extensions for those guys, or at least one of them. It's just a wild time right now. It's really crazy how this coaching staff is going to be so different next season.
Yeah, really, and that'll be 3 straight years with new coaches and new places, new faces and new places. And really, a lot of these guys are getting plucked by Canales, and it's been 3 now, J-Lo. It's been Harold Goodwin, Joe Gilbert, the running backs coach, and then you got obviously Brad Idzik taking the offensive coordinator role over there. Special teams, now you got Keith Armstrong retiring, and then Mike Chiruko, a defensive assistant, has parted ways with the team as well, or I should say the team has parted ways with him. I'm sure he was one of the many with their coaching contracts up. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on over the course of the winter and spring, how we fill out our coaching staff and all that good stuff. J-Lo, thoughts on the departures of Harold Goodwin, Gilbert, Idzik? I know Idzik was kind of one that a lot of us foreseen coming. But thoughts on Goodwin and Gilbert leaving? Their contracts were up. I don't think it's too big of a loss. In fact, I think we might be benefiting from it. The only thing is a lot of turnaround is never good, and now we're getting to the point where, that's 5 coaches we got to replace between defense, offense, and special teams.
Those are another one. Goodwin was probably the one that probably hurt the most. I feel, but at the same time, he was a running back. He was a running game coordinator, right? And it just wasn't working. So it's just time for a change of scenery for him. He's going to go to Carolina and try his best to, I don't know, help Canales be creative, and I don't see it happening. And as far as Gilbert goes, that one kind of hurts too, because I feel like he was a big, influence on the offensive line. But I'm pretty sure Balls has got a backup plan to replace those guys. It'll be interesting. But it's time for a change. I mean, this is Bowles' big opportunity to put his staff together. This is what he wanted. These guys were hand-me-downs by Bruce Arians. No disrespect to Coach Arians, but this might be a good thing. This could be a good thing for Todd Bowles.
Yeah, and J-Lo, real quick as well, you kind of see it, you evolutionize it. But a lot of these coaches have been here for 5 years now, and it hits the mark right on the spot about 5-year contracts. Some of these younger guys are getting 6 years, but a lot of these assistants are getting 5 years. So I think a lot of fans are getting mixed signals and the wrong message, thinking Goodwin and Gilbert left. More so, their contracts were up, and I brought up the point a lot yesterday, J-Lo. These two were in hot water last year when Bowles was letting go of a lot of assistants, such as Byron Leftwich. They survived last year's purge, and now they change it up this year. This could have been Todd Bowles really saying, hey, guys, it's been a pleasure, but we really don't want you back in the nicest way possible.
And that could be true, too. I mean, we don't know what happened behind closed doors. At the end of the day, I feel that Bowles and Light want some changes done to the team. I'm hoping they bring in some younger coaches to help, develop these players. But the first things first, we just got to get our offensive coordinator in line. I think once we get our offensive coordinator hired, which I hope will be Friday, they'll finally make a decision on who, and then we can get the process going and land our new offensive coordinator out who he wants on his staff.
Yeah, I have a gut feeling it's going to come by this weekend, J-Lo, for a couple of reasons. Reason number one being that we need to beat out some of these other teams. Unless we're waiting for a guy on the 49ers or Chiefs, unlikely to Chiefs. I don't think we're going to get Nagy. I don't think we want any of those offensive bosses. But maybe Niners have a couple candidates, such as a Brian Greasy or whatever. But unless we're waiting on one of those two teams, and what the hell are we waiting for, right? I know you got to be thorough. I know you got to vet these guys. But there's 8 other offensive coordinator openings still to date. There's still a head coach opening out there to date. Seattle just plucked the coach, so he's going to start hiring guys. There's still a lot of dominoes left to fall out there in the NFL coaching world, J-Lo, and we really should try and take advantage of hiring one of these guys and filling out our staff sooner than later. And at the same time, that might help some of these free agents like a Baker Mayfield come back quicker. And really, we wouldn't have to worry about him leaving in free agency at that point.
I mean, that's going to be the fun part when it comes to free agency, because we got to find the right guy that Baker's going to want to play and, be coached by. And to me, at this point, I think it's come down to these 3 candidates: Thad Lewis, Jake Peets, who I really like a lot, as we discussed over the last few days. Um, and then also Alex Van Pelt. I think it comes down to those three who gets the job. I think they're trying to wait for Pete to do his interview tomorrow, and hopefully Bowles and Light will come to a decision who to bring in and stuff like that. But you gotta get the right guy who Baker's gonna want to be coached by. And if you get Baker back, then you get Mike Evans back. That's the way I'm seeing it. Because Mike Evans, I know he wants to stay here, but I just got a gut feeling something's not right until we have our offensive coordinator in the building. So hopefully by this weekend we can get the right guy in there and then start adding more for the coaching staff. But you're all right though. We do need to outbid some of these teams for like assistant coaches and stuff because they're going quick.
Yeah, they are going quick, and a team like Seattle, who hired a defensive-minded coach, is going to want to bolster their offensive staff. A lot of defensive-minded guys named to coaching jobs out there. So Keith Armstrong retiring is just another, part of the roadmap, just another obstacle to figure out. But he's done a really bad job. I mean, I appreciate him for helping bring us a Super Bowl, sure, but he really didn't have too much to do with that. And he kind of rode the coattails of success of a Bruce Arians. And J-Lo, Arians always talked about when he retired, one of four guys would get the coaching job here in Tampa to help minorities get coaching opportunities. And that was going to either be Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, Keith Armstrong, or Harold Goodwin. Three of those four are gone now, J-Lo. Three of those four are gone. So was Bruce Arians, protecting his guys and over protecting him? Should they even have had jobs? Should a Byron Leftwich, a Keith Armstrong, a Harold Goodwin to begin with? It starts raising some of these questions. And I think that goes to show that Bruce Arians was even a better coach than he got credit for.
I agree. And there's still a lot of hate for Todd Bowles, which is so ridiculous. At the end of the day, he was handed these coaches that he probably didn't feel confident in. And Bruce Arians, thank you for the Super Bowl, help bringing in Tom Brady, all these free agents. But now we need to move on and set ourselves up for the future. And the future's now. There's not a lot of confidence in Todd Bowles right now, even though he just got us in the playoffs, won a home playoff game, and almost came close to beating the Lions. And he hired a head coach of an offensive coordinator last year where everybody counted Bowles out. They counted us out. That's why I don't understand why fans cannot be grateful that we actually have a pretty damn good coach. Yeah, I know this process is taking a long time, but you got to have some damn patience.
Yeah, and I guess we could also say this: the cookie crumbled the right way, whether it was Bruce or another thing to make the decision. But J-Lo, out of those four, Keith Armstrong, Harold Goodwin, Byron Leftwich, and Todd Bowles, Bowles is by far the best head coach. I think we can pretty much confirm that now with the other three not even being in the organization.
No, I mean, thank God Leftwich didn't get it. Now that I would have questioned that big time. But let's just remember, Jason Light was a big part of this. As far as Bruce Arians trying to get one of his guys a head coaching job. People don't understand that Light is a big influence in the coaching decision. And thank God he didn't go with Byron Leftwich. Thank God Bowles got the job. Because God knows what would have happened if Leftwich would have been the coach the last 2 years. Oh, man.
Yeah, could you imagine a Byron Leftwich or Keith Armstrong to be the coach? Even Harold Goodwin. I mean, I know he was going to be our fill-in coach with Bruce Arians not there with COVID in the 2020 or 2021 season. But just kudos to this Bucs team and organization for going with Bowles. Seems to be now at least a obvious superior choice of the four potential candidates that Bruce Arians mapped out to be the successor of him. J-Lo, before we get to our drum roll, please, 2023 Bucs Awards. You have any other coaching talk, OC talk, anything you want to get out there?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those three I mentioned a few minutes ago, they're my probably finalists out of the candidates. I also like the guy from Detroit. Um, I think his name is Tanner something. I can never get his last name out. He's another guy we'll keep an eye on. But at this
Sounds like
point,
a soccer player.
yes, it does. Well, he's got a good coaching background. He was under the Jim Harbaugh tree a long time ago, San Diego. So he's got that underneath him. And then plus working under Ben Johnson, I think it's a big benefit. And it's crazy that this man is going to stay with the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. That really surprised me. I couldn't believe it. But kudos to him and the Lions. But as far as offensive coordinator, I just want the search to be done. Hopefully by Friday we'll have a decision and we can go ahead and get started. And I'm really hoping for Jake Peets. I want the Sean McVay offensive system here in Tampa. You put that with our defense, our coordinator, and Todd Bowles, we can definitely take anybody in the NFC, in my opinion. I'm not trying to get too hyped up about Peets, but this guy has worked with Baker Mayfield very briefly in the past, and he's got some coaching, play calling experience through college, I believe. So he would be the guy I would like. If not, give me Thad Lewis. Just don't bring in the Bruce Arians playbook with Baker Mayfield. Don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know why AVP just doesn't, resonate on me. I feel like if we get AVP, it's a sign that we're kind of, not necessarily settling for mediocrity. But there's a reason why the Cleveland Browns, a team who made the playoffs, is looking for they signed a new offensive coordinator, but there's a reason why AVP was dismissed. He's just not that good. And there's a reason why he's been team to team to team in his mid-50s, because he's not that good. If you're that good, you're either going to have a head coach opportunity by then, or you're sure as hell not going to lose your offensive coordinator gig that quick. So all I'm saying is the Bucs need to make the right hire. There's a reason why AVP was dismissed. That's what I'm saying. It's a little interesting to look at it and say, hey, AVP was there a reason that Baker was dismissed too? Because they traded for Deshaun Watson, buddy. If you missed that, newsflash, the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, they traded for the Masseuse.
Obviously, you cannot pay both of those guys to stay on your roster. And you had guys like Odell Beckham Jr. and his father, Jarvis Landry, painting all these negative pictures about Baker. AVP just couldn't get that team going. I mean, the ground game was one thing. It was pretty good. But the pass game was stagnant. And Deshaun Watson didn't look the same. I'm telling you, when you give up all that money, you go out and get, quote unquote, a star quarterback, and the offensive coordinator does not have them playing good. That's kind of crazy. Worked out perfect. Why not give the benefit of the doubt? Why would you give the benefit of the doubt to someone getting fired? Baker Mayfield did not get fired. He got traded to the Carolina Panthers. When you could upgrade in this league, you do it. The Browns thought they were upgrading. Here they think they're upgrading again. Van Pelt is still out of a job. Have you heard his name in many offensive coordinator searches to this point? No. And there's good reason for that. Sure, the only positive that Van Pelt brings to the table is his familiarity with Baker. And I think Tad Lewis has to be the guy at this point. If not him, give it to a young guy in Jake Peets. Because at least Peets could be a flash in the pan. If you're signing AVP and we have a bad year, that could cost Bowles his job, and sure as hell going to cost AVP his job. If you bring in a young guy like a Thad Lewis, like a Jake Peets, and we have a disappointing year but a great offense in totality, you might have found that next young generational head coaching talent. You can't sit here, whoever me is, and say, oh, AVP and Baker situations are similar. No, the hell they're not. No, the heck they're not. Browns gave AVP every chance to succeed. He got a crack with Baker Mayfield. He got a crack with Deshaun Watson. He failed on both. The Browns never gave Baker anything. OBJ and Landry were over the hill by the time they got there. And then they injured Baker by continuing to play him when he was a little banged up. He got hurt worse, which hindered his performance. In Cleveland, their fingerprints were all over the Deshaun Watson trade sweepstakes, which rubbed Baker the wrong way. And Levi agrees with us. Best bet has to be Tad Lewis for continuity. System would be similar to what Canales ran. Baker doesn't have to pick up a completely new system. Baker coming back hopefully motivates Mike to come back. They can release a couple guys like Barrett or Davis or Dean to definitely. And don't forget Russell Gage and Ryan Jensen. Sadly, it's come to this. But those guys are probably going to be released too, because Johnson will probably never play football again. So he might retire and cost us some salary cap. But Russell Gage, we should be able to free up a little bit of cap there. But thoughts on Levi's comment quick, J-Lo, and then we'll get to our awards. But better pieces acquired through the draft. Left guard, most pressing. I agree with that. I think we got to go with a young interior offensive lineman in the draft, whether it's left guard or center, and see what happens from there. I do think, again, we bring back Baker before free agency hits. Maybe Mike comes back before free agency hits as well.
It all comes down to who the offensive coordinators are going to be before we even talk about Baker and Mike. But the only thing I'm concerned about that, Lewis, is what system would he really go with? There's no guarantees he may not go with Canales' system because he was a Bruce Arians guy. Arians did bring him in, and on as an assistant coach and all that. And then when he retired, Bowles took over. I'm not saying that we'll do that, but that's my only major concern on that part. I was just thinking, Jake Peets, who kind of runs a similar system to Canales, will be a better benefit. But if it is that Lewis, then that's fine. We can roll with it. I won't be mad about that. At the end of the day, I want what's best for Baker, and I feel like either him or Peets would be the best solution for him. And I agree with, Van Pelt. I don't think he would be a great fit, but to me, I feel like he would be the last option, kind of like a Dave Canales last option, to where we have no choice but to hire him. Because let's remember last year, Canales was not at the top of the list. He was not at the top of our list. It was 2 or 3 other coordinators, and they chose different directions. So we went with Canales, and he made the best of it. So you never know. Van Pelt may surprise us, but I just don't see it happening. He was here before. He coached Josh Freeman, probably his best season of his career, when he was a QB coach back in 2010 and 11.
The thing is with Van Pelt, he's probably not going to surprise you, only because he's been around the block so much you kind of know what you're getting with him now, right? He's a 53-year-old offensive coordinator who continuously job hops because nobody wants to retain him for all too long. I mean, he was a Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator in 2009, got fired there. Then he had to go to the Bucs to be their quarterbacks coach. Didn't work out too well, got fired there. Went to Green Bay to be their running backs coach and quarterback coach. Didn't work out too well, got fired there. Cincinnati Bengals, I'll give him that. He got promoted from Cincy to Cleveland. But you see where I'm going with this, J-Lo? AVP is someone who's continuously been fired and recycled. I just would rather roll the dice. I think Levi's 100% right. You can't let Mike hit free agency. I don't think they will, because I think you're right. If they do, Houston is all over that. And our source did tell us the other night as well that there is pretty much only one other team in the Mike sweepstakes, and that points all signs to Houston. It's by his hometown. They're ready to win now. They got a really good young quarterback. They have a hell of a coaching staff while retaining a couple of those key guys like their offensive coordinator and quarterback coach and all that stuff. J-Lo, I want to bring up something too, is Greg Allman says Keith Armstrong retiring, possible replacement Keith Tandy, former Bucs safety. Now he's been a special teams assistant for us for years and years and years, and he's only 33. I would love a promotion of Keith Tandy. What say you?
Oh, yeah, give it to him. I always liked the Tandy Man Can. He was a really good role player when he played for us over the years. I say give it to him. Like I said, to me, you got to go young. It's time to bring these young butts in here that have played the game and they know how the system rolls, I'm all for it. Keep Tandy as special teams coach. That's a good promotion if Bowles wants to take that chance.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things here as well. Anytime you get a new offensive coordinator, they're probably going to want to bring his guys with him. So I don't really think it's too concerning that the Bucs are losing a lot of these guys, because odds are whoever the OC is, he's going to get his own guys in house, get his own guys in the building, and be ready to roll with them. Speaking of in the building, J-Lo, it's our award show time. Me and you right here, right now, are doing the Buccateers Awards. Sadly, I guess we had 5 minutes to get Stunna's awards, and that would have never worked anyways. But damn it, we're here, J-Lo, and we got a fun one. We got a lot of awards to get through, and we really have 3 segments of the awards as well. We're doing our 2023 awards. We have awards for the Bucs. We have awards for the media, and we got awards for our own Buccateers podcast. As Olive says, agree, go young. Packers drafted so many young, and it worked just fab. We're not talking players, Olive, because Bucs are 5th youngest team in the league, right behind your Packers. We're talking about young coaches, but I hear what you're saying. Packers went young coaching too with Matt LaFleur. Fair enough from the account. Van Pelt's been fired 4 times now. Again, Baker Mayfield's situation way different, just way, way different than Van Pelt's situation. J-Lo, we're going to let you cut the cake here for the Buccateers Awards, and I don't think any other Buccateer podcast members submitted their awards to me or us, so it'll be just me and you, buddy boy. Let's go. Let's roll. What do you say?
So as far as the awards for Buccateers,
well, we're gonna get cracking here with Bucs first.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, my bad.
No, you're good, but we're gonna do the Bucs part of it first. I was just seeing if you were ready to roll there.
Yeah, I got my list here.
All good, brother. Just ready to make sure me and you are ready to attack it, because some people seem like they don't do their homework around these necks of the woods, but me and you surely do, and that's all that matters, because me and you are here, and that is all that matters. But J-Lo, award time. We're going to start with the Bucs portion of awards. MVP of the Bucs. A lot of tough choices. Baker's intriguing, Evans intriguing, Tristan Wirfs intriguing. A lot of defensive candidates with Winfield and those cats. Where do you lean, and who are you giving your 2023 award to for Bucs MVP?
Well, this was a very, very tough decision because there was a bunch of good players that contributed the whole season. But you're going to give me Baker Mayfield. I feel like Baker Mayfield is the MVP. He got this team together, believing in him, and he's the voice of the locker room, man. Ever since he got here, he's been spending time with the players, the offensive linemen, trying to get to know everybody. So my MVP goes to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and I agree with you. A lot could be decided between, a lot could be done. And, Baker, the quarterback, you're going to want to give it to him, right? But I'm going to go with Antoine Winfield Jr., J-Lo, and I'm going to go with Winfield for a few reasons. One of them being he saved us a couple of times this year. Obviously, we ultimately lost that Atlanta game, right? The one we had against them at home. But between that Atlanta game and between a couple other games, couple plays he made at the goal line against Carolina on the road, he probably not only kept us in both those games, but won us that Carolina game single-handedly, and he became an all-pro. He was all over the place. He was making tackles for loss. He was sacking the quarterback and all of that stuff. And I think that Antoine Winfield Jr., out of a very crowded pool for the Bucs MVP award for 2023, again, Evans could have been it. Levante could have been it. A couple other guys, Baker, Tristan Wirfs. I'm going with Antoine Winfield Jr. there, J-Lo, just because to me he's had a career year and a great year. A really good season right there.
No, I can agree with you on that. I really can. It really came close down between him and Baker, honestly. Because Antoine Winfield Jr. did a lot of amazing things this year, and he's gonna deserve a big payday coming up for sure. But like I said, I mean, with Baker coming in, taking over this team, he just took it by storm to where the players believed in him. And plus, Mike loves him, Chris loves him. He's a dog, bro. He fought injuries, man. This man was battling injuries out the wazoo, and he went out there and kicked some ass, man. You gotta show the guy some love. But there's room for Antoine Winfield Jr. in the later awards, but I'm not gonna say which one.
And I got room for Baker in the later awards as well. Most improved Buck, J-Lo. I'll start with this one. There were a lot of good candidates, a lot of tough choices here for most improved Buck, but I'm going with Luke Gadecki, our right tackle, a guy who was called to be benched last season, a rookie that was viewed as a bust by some. People were coming for his head. Ended up being a great member of our O-line, one of the better right tackles in all of football this season. Really, I think the Bucs have the best tandem tackle pair throughout the land, but I'm going with Luke Gadecki. Again, really good choices here, but he helps solidify this offensive line. He helped protect Mayfield and help give him the successful season that he had. So give me big number 67, who, by the way, had a tough offseason transitioning into that right tackle role. And now him and Wirfs put up a good pairing tandem to train all summer in Tampa together. J-Lo, I'm going with Luke Gadecki for my most improved player.
I'm right there with you. That was my pick, Luke Gadecki. He definitely came on really strong at right tackle, playing the position he played in college. It was a no-brainer. And the guy started building more confidence as well, going up against his big-time edge rushers and stuff. So that's my comeback player of the year. Very proud of him. He's really looking like the glass heater that we all thought he would be when he got drafted. And I can't wait to see more of his progression come next season.
Yeah, and J-Lo, kind of funny now because I'm going through my timeline and I'm looking up Keith Armstrong stuff, and I was a big critic of his going all the way back to 2022. I've had a lot of tweets doubting Keith Armstrong, so interesting to see that decision and choice made. Again, if you guys are just tuning into the Buccateers, Keith Armstrong has officially retired, our special teams coordinator. And now the great J-Lo and Tampa Tones are here giving you guys their 2023 Buccateers Awards. We've done MVP and most improved so far. Now, favorite Bucs play of the year, J-Lo. Do you have a specific play that was a favorite of yours that stood out in your mind?
Oh yeah, there were some tough ones. I'm gonna have to say the Mike Evans long touchdown reception against Carolina at home, where he took the ball and just took it up the field and ended up scoring a touchdown, which changed the game and the momentum of the season. I felt like that was my favorite play of the year was Mike Evans flipping the switch against Carolina at home and taking it all the way up the field, and that's when he got over 1,000 yards as well. That game. Not on that play, but I think a couple plays after he officially got over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. So many good plays this year. So many incredible moments this year, J-Lo. Man, really tough. I'm going to go with Antoine Winfield's peanut punch against the Panthers. I think that was huge and really helped us make the playoffs. If you remember, J-Lo, we won that game 9-0. If DJ Chark finds his way into the end zone there, that could be the season, that could be that game, and that could be a lot of different outcomes for this Bucs team, new coaches, new players potentially. I'm going with the peanut punch against the Panthers. Did you give consideration to that one at all?
Yeah, between that one and then the Atlanta game where he went off and punched the ball out on Desmond Ritter, there was just so many amazing plays that man made. Like, it's just incredible that we have an all-pro safety on our roster. The dude's just flat out amazing, and he's another one like Luke Gadecki. I can't wait to see his progression next season.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's been so many good choices for play of the year. Really, even though I picked the Winfield one, I still keep going back and forth. But nah, I'm just gonna roll forward with the Winfield one. I love that peanut punch, and he makes it look easy. He makes it really, really look easy, J Lo. And we're gonna move on to favorite Bucks game of the year now. Couple choices in mind, a couple obvious choices in mind, I would think, but maybe you see it differently. What was your favorite Bucks game of the year, J Lo?
I gotta say the wild card Philadelphia home game just dominated, at home against Philadelphia, and I was there live to see it, which was incredible. My first
Seen some
playoffs
really good
win.
games live this year between the Philly game, the Jaguars game, the Titans game. As Nancy and WKEE and David Ferrara, Tampa's realtor, joining us. But J Lo, you could have seen our top three games, or at least three of the top games this year for us.
Oh yeah, I mean I've been very blessed, man. I went to 3 Bucks home games. We won all 3. But that wild card game was just so special, Tones. I never seen the stadium so rocking, cheering for our team, out screaming the Eagle fans. I mean, it was probably one of the best games I've been to in a long time. I mean, the Jacksonville game was pretty hard too because I never sat so comfortable in my seat and not worried about a damn thing. But that Philly game was just something special that's gonna probably just be one of the best games I've ever been to as a Bucks fan.
Yeah, I agree, and it's been tough for me to decide. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville game, J-Lo, just because you went with the Philly game too. I kind of figured you'd go with the Philly game, but you were at the Jacksonville game as well. That was on Christmas Eve. That was our coming onto the scene party, and we put up a hell of a performance. It seemed like every time Baker and the Bucks offense was touching the ball, someone different was going down that field to score, and it seemed like on the defensive side of things, we were ready to roll. The Christmas vibes were in the air. It seemed like that was a big focal point to this Bucks team in the 2023 NFL season, J-Lo. So I was between the Eagles, Bucks, and Packers games. Ultimately, I settled on um, the Jaguars game because I think that really, without that game, without all those high plays and whatnot, we might have not been recognized the way we have been for our real overachieving and incredible 2023 season. Now, J-Lo, this one, we had a really good rookie class. So to me, this one gets a little tough. Who's your Buccaneers rookie of the year? I mean, a lot of choices here, all the way from Josh Hayes to Cody Mauch to the defensive guys like Diaby and Cansey, big play Trey, Christian Izzian. The list goes on and on and on.
It was a very tough one, but the careful consideration, I gotta go with Yaya Diaby. I think he came out really strong. And Kansas, it was close. It was for him and Kansas, honestly, because Kansas really turned the heat on toward the end of the season into the playoffs. I can't wait to see how those two next season, depending whoever we add as an edge or whoever on defense. I mean, those two are big time ballers, and I can't wait. But I had to go Yaya Diaby. I love his energy. I love how he brings the hype, excites the fans. I mean, Yaya Diaby was something else. I felt like, and plus he got a lot of attention in the media. Like Peter Schrager really liked him a lot for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So I gotta give my the Rookie of the Year to Yaya Diaby.
Yeah. Hard not to give it to Diaby. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go offensively. I don't know. I'm between Mauch and Cansey. I'm gonna go with Cody Mauch. I know he could improve. I know he could get better, but J-Lo transitioning positions into right guard for him, being able to start the season in entirety at the right guard spot, I think he more than held his own, and I think he proved to be more than an adequate starter on this offensive line moving forward as El Monito joins. But anytime you could get pretty good offensive guard play from a rookie for 17 straight weeks, I don't think he missed a snap all year, J-Lo, which is pretty incredible for a rookie as well. For durability purposes and having a good season at right guard and transitioning there from a different O-line position, I'm going to go ahead and give my Buccaneers Rookie of the Year to Mr. Cody Mauch and big number 69 anchoring down that right side of the offensive line. Now, J-Lo, from Rookie of the Year to Coach of the Year or Front Office Member of the Year, this could be someone who's departed by now as well, as the Bucs have seen a lot of sudden departures on the coaching staff. But between the coaching staff and the front office, who is your Bucs Member of the Year, either in the coaching ranks or the executive office ranks?
Even though I really hate the fact that he's a head coach of the Carolina Panthers, but I gotta give it to Dave Canales. You know, he really came in with no coaching, no play calling experience, and he was able to pretty much bring back Baker's career back to life when he got here with the play calling. I just love everything about him. It sucks we're going to have to play him twice a year, but he would be somebody that I would put for that category. The guy is he's an amazing person, and I wish him the best. But now you're my enemy, so that keep pounding shit, you can shove it, bro.
Yeah, and Canales, he did have a great year here, and is what it is. He's in Carolina now, so fuck him. That's about as simply as I could put. He's not here anymore. So I agree, though. He does deserve consideration. I'm going to give it to Jason Light. And some people might be saying, why? Well, he had a hell of a draft. He brought in all those undrafted free agents who had really prominent roles as well. And he had negative $60 million in cap space to work around as well, J-Lo. So give me Jason Light. Some people were coming for his job at the beginning of the season, which is foolish in my opinion. So I'll go with Jason Light since you went with your guy, your favorite head coach in the league, Dave Canales.
Man, fuck that guy. Now you got me cursing now. He's not my favorite head coach. Fucker.
Yeah, I'm kidding around. We'll save your words of favoritism on the back burner on the down low. But going from coach of the year or front office guy of the year to special teamer of the year, and to me this was a tricky one, J-Lo, because you had four candidates. You had Camarda, you had McLaughlin, you had Josh Hayes, who had an incredible year as a gunner for a rookie, and then you had Zach Triner, who this team loves and respects as well. How do you cut the cake with those four? Who's your special teamer of the year?
I gotta go with Big Leg Chase McLaughlin. The guy has been clutch all season long, nailing almost all his field goals. Like 2 of them were blocked, and he did miss one in the playoffs. By the end of the day, that man was clutch on his field goals, so that's who I give my award to. Jake Cromartie is another one who's very underrated. To me, one of the best punters in the league. But Chase McLaughlin, I think, deserves that award. Coming out of nowhere, making his kits, the big kits that kept us in games for sure.
Yeah, I agree. McLaughlin is hard to pass up. Camarda had a really nice year. I'm going to go with McLaughlin. He's made a lot of kicks this season, and, he's a free agent. We brought him in for really cheap. He's bounced around his entire career. Let's not forget he had to beat out some kicking competition in the preseason, although it wasn't much, but Rodrigo Blankenship. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Chase McLaughlin as well. I think he really helped us stay in a lot of games or help us win a lot of games for sure. Chase McLaughlin is definitely deserving of special teams player of the year. I almost gave it to Josh Hayes, but our coverage wasn't great enough for me to give it to him, although he had a nice year of coverage. I just couldn't quite jump the gun on that. Tricky one, offensive player of the year, J-Lo, a lot of good options. Baker was your player of the year, so MVP of the year, so I'm guessing he's your offensive player of the year as well.
No, that one is going to go to Mike Evans. He was by far dominant. I think he led the league in touchdowns. I'm not mistaken. I don't think Tyreek Hill tied the touchdown for the season with him. The guy has earned every penny for wherever his asking price is. He's had some drops, which happens, but Mike Evans was definitely the X factor on the offense on the deep balls. And I'm hoping and praying this man does not leave. He needs to stay right here and finish his career here at the Buck.
I agree with you there, although I'm not going to go with Evans, even though he's more than deserving. I'm going to go with Tristan Wirfs, J-Lo, for a couple of reasons. A, the man had to change positions this offseason from right tackle to left tackle. He really didn't miss a beat. He helped have Baker a successful season by being his blindside protector and really hung in there and did an incredible job. One of the best left tackles already in the league. And his leadership grew immensely in front of our eyes, J-Lo. I put those three things together, and that puts Wirfs a little bit ahead of Evans and Mayfield for me. And ending our Bucs player awards before we get to our media awards, J-Lo, defensive player of the year. Based on your earlier comments, I think I know where you're heading with this one.
Yeah, Antoine Winfield Jr. That's the award I was saving for. He was our best defender on defense. I felt like making all the plays, making his tackles. I mean, it was an easy choice. No disrespect to Vita Vea, Levante David, Devin White, and our corners. But I felt like Antoine Winfield Jr. was our best player on defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Vita Vea. And I think Winfield was our MVP, but I think our defensive player of the year was Vita Vea because we had the fifth best run defense in all of football. And when Vita wasn't in there for those couple of games, it was ugly. The run was getting gashed. So I think without Vita Vea this year, our defense would not have been the same, even with the guy like Winfield, who helped us win some games. I think the stability that Vita Vea brought to the table week in and week out, and when he missed a couple games, it was really noticeable. Without big number 50 stuff in that middle, I think this Bucs team is probably a 6 to 7 win team. Give me Vita Vea for defensive player of the year, and I think Winfield was our MVP. I think Vita was our defensive player of the year. Now going to the media side of things, J-Lo, who do you think was the outlet of the year? Lots of good ones covering the Bucs nowadays. Seems like we keep getting a few new ones per season. Do you have a choice of your favorite media outlet of the year?
Yes, I'm going to have to go with Greg Allman. He's always clutch on his reports, doesn't miss a beat.
So you're going with Fox Sports.
Fox Sports, Greg Allman, yes.
For outlet of the year, Fox Sports you're going with.
Yes, sir. The man's just been clutch on his reports. Every time he reports something, it's pretty accurate. No disrespect to the others, because I know, they try their best, but I just feel like Greg Allman is the top dog out of that.
I agree, but I think outlet and I think more of, website, that sort of stuff. And I think Fox Sports does a great job, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to have to go ahead and give it to Pewter Report because I think their team as a whole is exceptional. You got Scott Reynolds over there who knows what he's talking about. You got Josh Caeppo, our good buddy, the cap specialist. He's doing an incredible job. Matt Matera, young Adam Sylvan, Bailey Adams. They really have an incredible team over at Pewter Report, J-Lo, and they really bring us around the clock Bucs coverage, whether it's podcast or their website. Half of them are at the Senior Bowl this week, so they really go above and beyond to me and really make Bucs fans feel lucky and special, and that's why I'm going with Pewter Report for my outlet of the year. I think they just get the job done better than anyone else, but that's collectively. Media member of the year might be a different story, and that's where I go, Mr. Greg Allman, J-Lo, for media member of the year. Listen, as you alluded to, Greg knows his stuff. He's very interactive on Twitter as well, which I think is underrated. He's always tweeting back at fans, and he's really accurate with his news. He breaks news a lot for this Bucs team. He always has the snap counts out really early, and Greg Allman really provides a lot of benefits to Bucs fans around the globe. J-Lo, who are you going with on media member of the year? Will you give Allman and Fox Sports back-to-back awards, or are you going elsewhere?
No, as far as media member, I'm going to go with Peter Blake from the Sports Web. He's a big Bucs fan. He does a pretty good job talking Bucs football. I really enjoy his stuff whenever he brings on whenever he goes on his podcast and stuff like that. So I say give me Peter Blake for a media member.
I like that pick, and hopefully, maybe we could get him on in the near future. That would be really cool and really fun as well, seeing that come to fruition. JLo, between we have a couple outlets out there for the radio. We have WDAE, we have FanStream Sports with JP Peterson. Who's your Tampa radio host of the year? You know, you really have 8 guys to choose from on WDAE between Pat Donovan, Aaron Jacobson, Ronnie, T. Crass, Blobner, Rutcher, Nick Wise, Chris Mathis, or then you really got JP Peterson or Peter Blake on that side of the spectrum. Out of all those fine gentlemen, or maybe someone I'm missing, who's your Tampa radio host of the year?
Oh, JP Peterson's show all day. Like I said, he's Monday through Friday. I'm not sure about the other one you were talking about, but JP Peterson, I enjoy watching I enjoy hearing his things on the FanStream Sports.
Yeah, he's 2 hours Monday through Friday, right? Isn't he 10 to noon Eastern time, I believe?
Yes, he is.
And he's on FanStream Sports, correct?
Yes, he is.
I'm going with WDAE radio host Pat Donovan, JLo, and I'm a big Pat Donovan guy. He is in the mornings now on the Pat and Aaron show as my radio host of the year, and he's really incredible, and he made strides this year, his first year ever of doing the Bucs pre-game show with Ronnie Night Train Lane, and I think Pat Donovan tells it like it is. He knows his stuff. He isn't afraid to back down to people. And waking up that early and being that interactive on Twitter, I just love Pat Donovan. We had him on the podcast a couple of years back as well. Hopefully we could get him in the near future. But you're going with JP Peterson. I'm going with Pat Donovan. And what's your podcast of the year, JLo? Your Buccaneers podcast of the year, if you had to pick one.
Oof, toughie. That one really came down to the line. I went with Peter Report. I usually try to stay content and watch their podcast whenever they are on. Because, like you
Matt
said,
Matera and company.
Say it again?
Led by Matt Matera mostly, I feel like.
Yeah, Matt Matera, he does a great job running it, and then Scott Reynolds, I mean, he's the real OG, that like Greg Allman, always on top of the butt stuff. So give me Peter Report as podcast of the year.
I'm going to go with Brianna Dix and Casey Phillips of Buccaneers.com, JLo, in their Tampa 2 coverage. They've been incredible all year. 2 females. They got beauty and they got brains. They're beautiful women. They're smart women. They cover the team greatly. They know what they're talking about. They know the games. They know the X's. They know the O's. Bree Dix is one of my favorite. Casey Phillips has been around forever with this Buccaneers team. And when they make videos, when they make pods, I think it's incredible. Scott Smith, too. He's done a hell of a job. So really the Buccaneers podcast and media team led by Bree Dix, Casey Phillips, and Scott Smith, I'd go with them as being my podcast of the year. Outside the Buccateers, obviously. But, you got to go elsewhere there. Give me Bree Dix, Casey Phillips, Scott Smith in the Tampa 2 coverage for the podcast of the year. Now the best part, the best portion, my favorite. Thank God we only got us 2, by the way, because these are lovely but lengthy. The Buccateers Awards now, JLo. We got 4 awards on behalf of the Buccateers. And the first award of all of them is favorite episode of the year, JLo. And I know you became a full-time member of the Buccateers, I think in the fall, I think in September. So you obviously missed last January through July or August, but you started guest appearing then. But you could pick any of them from your guest appearance to you not appearing to you being on the show. What was your favorite episode of the year, JLo?
I must say it was very recent. I said the episode that we did with poor Richie Lou and Mike. I think we brought a lot of hype, to a lot of Bucs fans that day, which I thought was very amazing from my experience. So that would be my favorite episode. I've already watched it like 3 times already, as weird as it gets.
No, I love that one. And, you find favorites and you watch them, and it doesn't really matter how old they are. I watch some from years back, right? And that's why we make them on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, so you could do great things like that. And you guys are tuned into the Buccateers live right now on either YouTube or Facebook. But J-Lo, I'm going with a little before your time as being a full-time member. I'm going with when James Canada joined the show. Former Bucs D lineman, former Colts D lineman, really incredible brain. He brought a lot of knowledge to the table. Joey, who's a Colts guy, was able to join us for that program as well. And we really had a great offseason episode covering the Bucs, breaking down the Bucs, getting a little bit into the Colts, but just having a guy like James Canada who won with us here a lot, who was around the league for a while, was awesome getting his experience and letting him do his due diligence. And he has a podcast of his own as well. So really just hearing all the ins and outs with James Canada, who's only 49 years old, but he's been around forever. He departed the Bucs right before we won the Super Bowl, but still a very valued member of that early on team over there, J-Lo. And a little bit more breaking news. This one, not really a huge news piece, but former Buccaneers tight end, and he's still pretty young, Anthony Auclair has decided to retire, J-Lo. I'm not sure if you remember Big Anthony Auclair, but...
No, I do. Yeah, he was a great blocking tight end. That's one thing I remember him. He was used a lot in blocking packages and made some catches.
Super Bowl champion, baby.
Yeah, man, hats off to a pretty good career, if you ask me. Get to play with the great Tom Brady, winning a Super Bowl, and now you can go out as, a one-time Super Bowl champ.
Yeah, now, J-Lo, when we're going to focus back onto these awards, we got 3 big ones left. Favorite guest of the year, J-Lo? Out of anyone who came on the Buccateers this year, who's your favorite guest where you're like, man, that was cool to be able to chat with him, or man, that's a cool cat, met a new friend here? Favorite guest of the year?
So I'm going to go with this one. I haven't met him, but I remember watching him on your show, and I'm going to have to go with Anthony Gator. I really enjoyed his knowledge, him talking. He sounds like a really great person, with just a great football stories he brought up. So I say give me Anthony Gator. Hopefully one day I'll get to chat with him on the show when we get him back.
Yeah, we'll get him back surely. Florida International outside linebackers coach, former Buccaneer, former Canadian Football League champion. Love the guy. Whenever he's on, he sheds so much knowledge. So that's a great choice, J-Lo. I'm going to go with, it's tough because we had so many good ones. Really a lot of good ones. So tough. I'm going to go with Michael Meyer, our Panthers guest, when he joined us before we played the Panthers. He brought a lot of good insight to the table. He brought a lot of good breakdowns to the table. It was a Saturday morning show. He was really good and insightful in there. Give me him. I throw J.C. Allen in there as well, but I view him as more of a regular. But J.C. Allen really did an incredible job for us this year over at Sports Illustrated, continuingly to jump on the show. I think he made about 2 shows a month, maybe 1 a month, but nonetheless, he was a frequent flyer and helped bring some great knowledge to the table as well. We have our final 2, J-Lo. Favorite Buccateer of the year. There's 6 of us, so not a lot of choices. You could choose yourself. You could choose anyone. But if you had to go to war for one Buccateer, who you choosing as your Buccateer of the year?
Oh, my God. This is a tough one. Because I only met 2 out of the group in person. But you know what? Give me Honcho. Some reason I developed a good vibe with Honcho when I first met him. He had to be on the show lately. But he was, somebody I built a vibe with. And Stunner was nice too. I want to nothing away from Stunner. But give me Honcho. And of course, I would pick you, but I feel like, Honcho was somebody that's very knowledgeable of the game. And, I feel like, he's a big part of the team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cats here on this one. Say you aside, right? Say we can't pick each other or whatever. Because you've been an invaluable part of this team as well, J-Lo. You've brought a lot to the table. So I appreciate you and what you bring to the table and everything you continue to do. But I do enjoy Katz's knowledge and information, and you'll find out quick, J-Lo. He disappears during the off season. He does do that, but man, when it's a regular season, it's in full swing of things. Katz brings his knowledge and hammer to the table, and he really knows what he's talking about. And he's really like a damn Tampa historian when it comes to Tampa sports. So give me the great A. Katz and what he does for the Buccateers program, as he's taking a hiatus on X right now, but we hope to have him back soon on the social media waves as well. Last but not least, J-Lo, it's been a fun award show, and we're going to end with a bang. Favorite viewer of the year for the Buccateers, when you're either in the chat or on the pod, who has caught in your eyes so far in 2023?
As far as viewer goes, I have to go with my boy Hayden, the one that was on the show for before the wild card game. He's got a lot of football knowledge, and he's been a big supporter of me since I've been on the show with you and joined the team. So give me my boy Hayden. If you're watching, Hayden, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Hayden, for all that you do. And I got a tie for first, J-Lo. I got Mr. Steppen Peppin, our favorite Canadian, who he's really made a great amount of pods this year. I know I don't see him today, but he's been incredible. And, he's stuck with us all year, and being in Canada, obviously, a whole different country. Pretty cool to have somebody out of the country be such a great follower of the program. So between Steppen Peppin and Neil L. Neil's been incredible as well. He's always joining us on YouTube, and he always gives us a shout out to say, hey, make sure you subscribe to these guys and turn the notification bell on. And we appreciate all the love from all of our viewers, J-Lo. Ain't that right?
Yes, I do. And that's what I want to say also. People who are watching us now, thank you for your time, join the show, talking about football, even Olive, the Packers fan. Thank you for being supportive of us, Group Buccateers. And like I said, the viewers, man, like, subscribe, help get us out there, I know there's a bunch of Bucs fans out there in the Bay Area that need to know more about the Buccateers.
Yeah, and that was some really good stuff. That award show was incredible. We had a lot of good nominees, a lot of nominations of Bucs players, coaching staff, media members, front office members, radio hosts, podcast, our own Buccateers Awards. J-Lo, I think we got to make this we've done this yearly, but this is the first year it's been this expansive. I think that we've really done a nice job.
No, I agree. I think this offseason we should definitely do some shows on, like, who are some of the greatest Buccaneers all time, or which squad over the years would you pick, as the best squad we ever had. I think we should do shows like that, having some more fun and history to Bucs fans from the past.
Definitely agree with you. And again, if you're just joining in, we've had a great award show, and it's been kind of a crazy random day of Bucs news. You have former tight end Anthony Allclair retiring from the league. He was a Super Bowl champion. You have Bucs special teams coach Keith Armstrong retiring. And listen, I'm sure Todd Bowles and him have a talk and said, hey, Keith, we probably aren't going to retain you, but to save you some embarrassment, please just do it on your own terms. And I'm sure Keith Armstrong had no problem with that and decided to do it. We've had some coaches leave as well. We've had some offensive coordinator candidates alive, like a Van Dam. Quickly, what's your thoughts on Van Dam, our tight ends coach, J-Lo, before we get to our final word?
Yeah, he's another one that interviewed for the offensive coordinator gig. He's just somebody I can't really get excited for at the moment. He does have a badass name. But at the end of the day, I feel like, he'll just get some experience on interviewing, and he can just take in all the knowledge he can where we hire his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because now we need two coordinator roles replaced, J-Lo, and I think Keith Tandy is really a great choice to be the special teams guy. I really do.
I agree. I always liked Keith Tandy as a player, as a person. I think he'd be the best fit for the job. And we got to go young, man. Let's bring in the young folks that are more into the game now, because some of these vets, man, I feel like the game has passed them by.
Yeah, I agree with you, J-Lo. We'll see who the OC ends up being. We'll see who the special teams coordinator ends up being. We'll see all of this fun stuff, J-Lo. There's one thing guaranteed, though, in life, and that's the Buccateers being here to bring you all the latest and greatest coverage, hot news, hot rumors, breaking news, rumor mill stuff. It's always going to be right here on the Buccateers, just like today's show was, J-Lo. Any final words for the program, brother? It's been a fun one. We had offensive coordinator talk, special teams talk, coaching departures, Anthony Allclair retiring, as our buddy Jay from our fantasy group says. He was a hell of a guy. He was able to have a drink with Anthony Allclair in the parking lot after his first season and says he was really cool and hilarious. So I'm glad he got a ring with us. But final word for the show, J-Lo, on this crazy, sneaky busy day in Bucs news.
I mean, the fun's just getting started, folks. Start of the offseason, even before the Super Bowl. The fun is just getting started, and we will be here all offseason trying to bring you the most greatest news, bring some fun shows on, and like and subscribe, man. Show us some love. Buccateers.
Buccateers, Buccateers, Buccateers. Get it in your head. We're going to be here the whole off season. We got a lot of good changes coming. We got new media graphics and introductions in the works. We got a lot of good guests in the works as well. We got some special segments in the work, like Man Cave Mondays and Saturday morning histories and things like that, J-Lo. So it's going to be a really fun off season, brother. And if you guys want to stay with it, up to date with us every minute, turn the notification bell on, like this video, and subscribe to us today on YouTube, and you'll never miss a minute, J-Lo. Ain't that right, brother? And I hope you have an incredible Wednesday night, my friend. It really went by fast today, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Like I said, man, time flies, man, when you're having fun. But at the end of the day, like you said, like, subscribe, and we got a lot more good, shows coming up.
Yeah, I think so as well, J-Lo, and we're going to have a lot of good shows coming up, a lot of good conversations to be had, and some really great stuff here in the future, brother. But on behalf of the great J-Lo, it's Tampa Tones, and my final word is go Bucs, fire the damn cannons. Thank you for tuning into our award show. It's been truly an honor here on the Buccateers. J-Lo, have a great night, my man. I'll talk to you soon. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man. Stay safe, man.
You too, brother. Stay safe in the scary world out there. Buccateers Awards show. Hell of a night. J-Lo, Tampa Tones. Keith Armstrong retire. Former Bucs Super Bowl champ Anthony Allclair retire. A lot of stuff going on. Tampa Tones is out. J-Lo is out. On behalf of the four that couldn't make it, Cats, Bucko, Huncho, and Stunna, we appreciate you guys greatly. Peace. Fire the damn cannons and go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my